Okay, we are recording the last meeting of CSE 142. Let me mention a few things and then we'll get to the critter tournament. So last time I withheld showing you the results of the question of the day because I wanted to do this pair of questions together. Very interesting responses. So this was the answers to the questions of what was your least favorite homework assignment. And there's a clear winner, baby names. You know, that was a large group of students who did not like baby names. I was very surprised by that. I didn't think it would turn out in that way. I wonder whether it might have to do with something that we know is true, which is that kind of after the midterm, after the first 5 homeworks, we kind of step up the level of difficulty. So baby names is much harder than the programs that came before. I think personality test is also very hard, but compared to baby names, it seems about the same. So I noticed there wasn't so much dislike for personality test. It was kind of aimed at baby names. And I do wonder whether maybe that had to do with the transition being so uncomfortable for people. In terms of what we talk about internally, the homework that we all hate the most is admissions, because it's just a stupid program. No one wants that program, to be able to run that program afterwards. It's designed to be kind of just the right thing to practice at that point in the quarter, and so that's what I like about it. That's why I continue to use it. But I kind of wish that I had a more compelling program, a more interesting program to use. So I was very surprised that there weren't very many people who openly disliked admissions. So that was a little bit of a surprise as well. So in terms of what you like, so I mean, especially given this high score for the people disliking baby names, I didn't want to prejudice, I said this last time, I didn't want to prejudice the responses. So I just kind of wanted to see what people said when we said, what was your favorite? And, you know, there wasn't a lot of agreement here. There were a lot of different answers all over the place. And critters kind of was the winner, but not by that much. And quite a few, kind of a multi-way tie for a bunch of people, you know, who kind of thought other things were their favorite program, including baby names and guessing game. Oh, maybe, let me take a look. Was that true? This was another surprise to me that so many people disliked guessing game. That was the second most disliked program, guessing game. I was surprised by that. I don't know why. Maybe people thought it was not interesting or something. I don't know. But here, guessing game got a reasonable number of people saying that it was their favorite assignment. I have a friend I've mentioned before who teaches at Duke who has told me that I should, there was a dinner once and with the colleagues, and at the dinner he was a little bit, I think he'd had a little too much to drink. He was kind of being very open with his comments, and he said that I should be ashamed to be giving the rocket ship assignment in the 21st century because students just won't appreciate the ASCII art aspect of it. The funny thing is that all of our friends at the table, you know, disagreed with him or didn't like the way he said it, and so they went out and made their own ASCII art assignments, and now he's changed his mind, and he said that ASCII art actually maybe is not so bad. So I was glad to see that Rocket Ship had a good number of people saying it was their favorite. I've heard an interesting thing about it, by the way, when I've asked students individually, is that some people say the reason that was their favorite assignment is because it was hard. They could tell it was hard. Other people were struggling. But if you just followed the advice we gave, you read the chapter, you watched the lectures, you went to section, you did the things that we asked you to do, it allowed you to get through that assignment. And so people have told me that was when they knew they were going to get through 142. It's kind of the rocket ship in a way. Maybe it's the opposite of baby names in that it's a program that for some people it kind of gives them a sense of confidence that this is going to go well. In any event, those are the results. I thought you might find it interesting. A few other general announcements before we get to the critter tournament. So homework 8 was due last night, but remember I've extended the deadline for the absolute cutoff until next Tuesday. So Tuesday 11 o'clock, that is the absolute cutoff, but you have until then to finish homework 8. Course evaluation links are here. I think you have until Sunday. I think you get a reminder email. I have mentioned all week that there's a minor incentive for filling out the evaluation. I won't know what you said, I'll only know that you filled it out, but the people who fill it out get 1/3 of a homework point. It's a tiny little incentive for filling out the evaluation as a way to try to encourage more people to do that. And I've talked about the idea of the final exam as a good thing to review, particularly that we don't have one, but it's particularly for those of you going on to 143, but also just kind of completing your understanding of Java, even if you just want some practical skills, or even if you're moving on to a language like Python. As I've mentioned all week, that these are things that are useful to be practicing. I understand, of course, that's going to happen after all your other coursework is done, because we don't have a final exam, so you're not going to have to study that material until later. Okay, I think we're ready for the tournament. And boy, I guess I say this a lot too, but this is a day where I really am sad not to have the audience here, because it can be very fun to have people watching the critters and the audience reaction to things and oohs and ahs and so forth. Anyway, I'm going to do it in a slightly different way. I'm going to be using an editor that I can work with a little faster, something called Emacs. And so I'm going to open up crittermain.java. And so what I've done here, we're going to be running the tournament, with the standard classes that I had mentioned, 60 food objects. And let me show you kind of what I have here. These are the 16 finalists who are going to be competing in today's tournament. So let me just remind you about where this came from. So there were 48 of you who submitted a critter, which is great. We ran a pre-contest where I had combinations of 3 critters at a time competing against each other, and I picked the 12 critters who performed best, the 12 critters who kind of did best in that, and just kind of who survives more, who had a higher critter count at the end. So that got me 12 of these 16 finalists, and I had a committee of TAs who looked at the 48 submissions to pick 4 entertaining critters. So that's the other 4 participants here. Some of those 4 actually had been in the top 12, so I kind of managed to go a little deeper than just the top 12 because of that. So there were a few others who made it into the contest, even though they weren't in the top 12 in the pre-contest. They were just below, so they made it in. I have included here, for your information, so if you want to know who to cheer on, section information, so you can see which section a critter submission came from. There were 3 submissions from section AU, so that 3 in this top 16. So congrats to section AU. That's pretty great. You'll notice that 4 of these critters have a star, after the section. Those are the entertaining critters. So those are the ones that were here because they ended up being entertaining. I kind of think that this contest is not going to work out in a way quite as fairly as you might want it to be. I think the critter simulation, one of the things about it is that there's a kind of luck of the draw issue to this, that it depends a lot upon what critters you're competing against. So kind of how well your critter does will often depend upon those initial conditions of who you're competing against. So I've kind of been doing some pre-running of this, and it seems to me that there's some very strong critters who get knocked out somewhat early, and I think it's a matter of luck. So a lot of you, being in this top 16, you should all feel highly honored to be in the top 16. So the ones that competed well, there's a lot of them that are competing well, even though we're going to boil it down to 4 winners. So we're going to do 4 different of these kind of semi-finalists, I guess, is what we're going to do. So we're going to pick 2 of these 4 who are going to move on, and then we'll pick 2 out of 4 of the next group, 2 out of 4 of the next, 2 out of the 4 of the next. So then we'll have 8 semifinalists, and then we'll pick 2 each from those groups and get down to 4 finalists. I did mention there would be prizes. It's not terribly valuable, but the 4 finalists will each get a $20 Amazon gift certificate. I will email the 4 winners to let them know. And the entertaining, the one that was the most entertaining is going to be a winner as well, and will also get a $20 gift certificate from Amazon. And that that critter might also get one of the other prizes. So maybe that person's going to get 2 prizes. We'll see. And I'll tell you who that was when we get down once we've finished up the contest to do the finalists. So let me tell you a little more about what I'm going to do. I'm going to run each of these semi-final rounds. I'm going to run it and we'll watch and we'll see what's happening in the world, kind of get a sense of what's going on. And there'll be a winner, so like a number 1 winner. But what I'm going to want to do is I'm kind of want to have at least a 2 out of 3, best 2 out of 3. So I want to run each of these little contests, early contests, at least to at least the point where we'd have somebody winning 2 out of 3. And it might even take 4 times, 5 times, because there might be, 3 different critters who are somehow competing for that spot. So we'll potentially run it more. But in these early rounds, I'm only insisting that the winning critter have 1 more win relative to the others. So like the best 2 out of 3, you've got 2 wins to the 1 win for the other one. So winning by 1 will be enough. But you're going to see that I'm going to use an option that this simulator has that's going to allow me to speed up things a little bit. So I've got some little abbreviations for me here for compiling and running that'll make it a little easier to run the contest. So this is our initial group. Lots of food is kind of winning right now. And I'm just going to let it run, and we'll watch it for a little bit. So we'll see how these critters are doing. Of course, I'm rooting for my fly traps in a way. They're near and dear to my heart. We can speed it up a little bit and see what they're doing. Corner cow seems to be doing fairly well, with some other critters doing well too. Now, what I had said was that we're going to go all the way to 5,000 steps. I'm wondering whether this is corner cow, the ones that are in the corner, and I guess cows could be white and black. I think that's where corner cow is. We can watch it, in debug, we can see a little bit that, that there's some flytrap-like behavior from the chonk boy husky critters here, but we're not seeing a whole lot of changes from here. It looks like corner cow is kind of still in control, and there's not a lot changing because a lot of these critters are not moving very much at this point. So we're up to 2,500 steps. I think I'm going to let this go in, we got a little bit more movement, but I think I'm going to let this go in some increments of 100, so we can let this go a little bit faster. So we'll kind of see whether, corner cow is in the lead, 3,200, 3,300. We can kind of step ahead, and it looks like the world's not changing very much. So we'll go, all the way up to the 5,000 steps that I had announced. And so after 5,000 steps, corner cow was the winner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run that again, and instead of watching it the whole time, because we have limited time, I'm going to just let it go to the end, let it go to the 5,000. Now corner cow won again, so that's best 2 out of 3. The right corner. I don't need to run it a third time because I know that even if I ran it a third time, corner cow has won. So I'm going to go here and put a little notation. I'm going to comment this out and note that corner cow was the number 1 winner in that group of 4. I'm going to recompile the program and run it again, and we'll watch again. I can speed it up. Try 3 seems to be doing well this time. So I'm going to have to be careful. Normally what I do is I have TAs and students help me to keep track of winners. There's a lot going on. I'm trying to manage all of these different things, and it's easy for me to kind of make a mistake. So this is interesting. So try 3 was ahead, but looks like there's a pitched battle with, I don't know if that's German Husky, but try 3 and German Husky seem to be battling it out. And I think One of the things that's true of the critter tournament in general is that it's in general not rewarded to move a lot, and we see that from Flytrap, right? That the critters that do go to the trouble to move a lot, and I assume that's try three. That's probably these three critters that are wandering around. I think ultimately that can be problematic for them. So. Whoa, that was very interesting, though, what they did here. They seem to be trying to form their own little colony, and whoa, that's kind of trying to turn the tide on the German Husky. So, and wow, we're getting a little close to our 5,000 mark here. This is very, oh wow, try three has pulled ahead, and then I'm going to want to go to the next 5,000. So try three won. So that's interesting. Maybe we'll watch another one of those, because that was a little more interesting than I thought it would be. Sometimes, I think I could do the next 5,000, and maybe we will at some point. But this one this is an early round. We don't always get interesting behavior in an early round like this. But try three is doing well again, and the German Husky is also doing well. And I don't know if we're going to get a repeat where we see. Remember last time, what ended up happening is that try three was losing ground at one point to German Husky, and that seems to be happening again. So it may be that some of you have written things into your critter behavior. You are taking advantage of the 5,000 steps, for example, knowing that it's the 5,000 steps. It might be that try three is doing different behaviors, kind of depending upon how far we are into the simulation. And Chunk Boy Husky's got a lot in there too, still running. If we do a debug, we can see a little more. There's some Flytrap-like rotational behavior there, but try three is doing a kind of more movement here. And actually, it's interesting that try three's critters are not spinning here. So let's go. We'll turn off the debug. So we're getting high again. So German Husky is doing better. Try three doesn't seem to be coming back this time, but last time it looked that way too, and then try three seemed to turn it around towards the end. But we're getting pretty close to the end here. I'm going to bring it up to the next 5,000. So that was German Husky that won. So we have one each now. This is an early round, so I'm going to go ahead and do the next 5,000. So if it's one of those two, that's going to be our winner for this German Husky. So that's 2 out of 3. That was kind of the best 2 out of 3 wins. But that was a good try from German Husky. From try 3. So that's our number 2 winner in this round. And then I'm going to comment these out. And then I'm going to go to our next group of 4 critters. So this is kind of our next group of semi-finalists. And we can compile and run. And let's see how they do. Oops. We'll let it go ahead and start. And we'll boundless. We've got some critters that want us to be boundless. I have no idea how to pronounce. This would have been a good challenge if we had people in the room, or maybe to ask the author of this critter, how in the world do you pronounce the name of this critter? I'm going to call it the mold. I'm just going to refer to it as the mold and not even attempt to pronounce what the name of that critter is. But it seems to be doing very well. Boy, we've got some green huskies left, and all the other ones gone. So we'll do a little debug option to see what's going on here. Got some rotation going on, but not a lot. And so down to 30 green huskies left. We're about halfway through, so not a whole lot of movement here, but a little bit. Green huskies were down to 9. Wow. And they have disappeared. So our mold husky has won. Let me run it again. and I'm going to skip to the end to see. And our Mold Husky won twice. So that's 2 in a row. That would be 2 out of 3. So I'm going to say that's a number 1 winner from this. Oops, I needed that. Number 1 winner from this round. We'll recompile and we'll run again. And we can start and we can zoom. Make it go a little bit faster. So Ankiko Husky, I think might be the way you would pronounce that. Green Huskies are doing a little better now. Oh, we're down to Green Huskies and just a few Ankiko Huskies. 1 left in the world, and the Green Huskies won. Let's try again, and we'll skip to the end. And we'll see, so the next 5,000, and the Green Huskies won again, and that was 2 in a row. So that's our number 2 winner from this round, is Green Huskies. Let's go to our 3rd group of semi-finalists, and we'll compile and run that version of it. So we can start it executing, and we can speed it up a bit. Wow, Bat Husky is just taken over, but Soupy is still around, so this is kind of an interesting battle. Now Soupy seems to be doing a little bit better, so Bat Husky, I mean, I admire Bat Husky for moving around, but there is kind of a movement penalty, and it seems like Soupy is taking advantage of that movement penalty. And it's tending to do better. So not that many Bat Huskies left. Soupy looks like it might end up winning this round. We'll see. I mean, we got a ways to go, and there's still 5 Bat Huskies left in the world. 4. Spoke too soon. 2 Bat Huskies left in the world. 0 Bat Huskies. Okay, Soupy was the winner there. Let's go ahead and run it again. And let's see what ends up happening if we switch to the end. So that was Soupy winning 2 in a row. So that's kind of our best 2 out of 3. So Soupy's the overall winner there. So I'm going to make Soupy say that's a number 1 winner in that group. And we'll recompile and run again and see what happens with those 3 left. Bat Husky again doing quite well. Oh, Bat Husky has eliminated all the competition, all Bat Huskies. So that's a win for Bat Husky. Let's try running again, and we'll go to the end of the 5,000. Oh, now Rainbow Scarab won that time. So I'm going to write down that Bat Husky has a win and that Rainbow has a win. So we got 1 each for Bat Husky and the Rainbow Scarab, and let's rush to the end. And now we have another win for Bat Husky. So that's the 2 out of 3 for Bat Husky. But Rainbow Scarab was in there with a win, again, I've mentioned that I think there's a bit of a luck of the draw going on here in terms of that some of these, Rainbow Scarab and Veronica, for example, might be very strong critters that just didn't get a chance to quite shine because of the combination of critters that they were competing against. I mean, I used random number generation to shuffle these things. I used Java's built-in random number generation to come up with the groupings here. Let's try run it. This is our fourth group of semi-finalists. It looks like Ben Husky was doing well, but now Husky Congregate is doing well. And one of the things that, wow, this is a really interesting behavior. I think I like what's going on here. Maybe I'll slow it down a little bit and see. We can see hi, hello. There's a lot of interesting stuff. And Yuri Husky kind of wandering around and showing us different colors and so forth. Are we down to just one critter that's not a Husky congregate? I think that's right. There's one Yuri Husky that's announcing its name to the world. and the Husky congregate. But I think if we just kind of skip ahead 100, I think we're going to find that this world is not changing very much. We're left with that one Uri Husky. We'll go all the way up to 5,000. So Husky congregate won that round. Let's try running again, and we'll take it to the end. And Husky congregate won again. So that's a 2 out of 3 situation for Husky congregate. So let's say that Husky congregate is our number 1 winner from there. And let's recompile and run and see what ends up happening with this group here. Uri Husky is doing well this time. Lots of Uri Husky in the world. Very interesting. And, it looks like Uri Husky has taken over. So nothing else but Uri Husky. So that was, all right, so that's 1 win for Uri Husky. And let's see what happens when we go to 5,000. That's 2 wins in a row for Uri Husky. So I think that's our number 2 winner. So Uri Husky is our number 2 winner from that round. So now let me do something here that I'm doing something that's going to allow me to kind of remember who the winners were. So what I've done is I'm preserving information for myself in this file so I can remember how things turned out. I'm planning on putting up later today. It'll be on the calendar for today. I'll have something that kind of shows who competed against whom and who were the winners and how they moved on to the semifinals and then how the semifinalists moved on to the finalists. So there'll be a kind of a nice little diagram that I put together eventually today and that I'll include on the calendar along with a link to this video. So I need to remember who were the number 1, number 2 winners and so forth. But what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of merge these so that I have the number 1 and number 2 winners from those original 2 groups of 4. So these are 4 semifinalists, and that's going to be our first group of 4 semifinalists that we're going to have compete. And then I'm going to do the same kind of thing here. I'm going to eliminate the critters that weren't number 1 or number 2 winners. That's going to be our second group of semifinalists. So this is our first group of semifinalists. And I'm going to change the rules a little bit. So this time, maybe we'll watch a little more. Maybe we'll see. It kind of depends upon how monotonous it gets. Sometimes these critters are very evenly matched. And so sometimes, it takes a while to get the kind of outcome I'm looking for. But this time, so for this one and for the finalists, what I'd like us to do is that I want the winning critter that we pick to win by 2 wins. So, it's not going to be enough to be best 2 out of 3. You'd have to get like 3 wins to 1. That's what I'm going to try to do. We'll see how it goes. We might at some point have critters that are so evenly matched that we might have to just do a sudden death type thing where some critter is going to end up being allowed to win because we can't get a critter to win by 2. But so let me go ahead. Let's go ahead and start the simulation, and we'll speed it up a little bit. We've got mold again. We've got some corner cows wandering around, some green huskies, some German huskies wandering around. Not a whole lot of movement here. We could do debug to kind of see there's a fair amount of rotations that are going on here. So some movement here, but mold is doing well here. But corner cow is not that far behind. Now, German Husky, I think, is not doing so well. Oh, well, now we have a little bit of a change there. I don't know whether that was corner cow or whether it was the mold critter that had a bit of a change, but every once in a while some critters are splitting off. Well, we think this is corner cow. So I think it's mold versus corner cow, and right now corner cow is kind of winning that battle, it looks like. Because mold had been in the lead, but now corner cow's in the lead. Not by that much, but corner cow's doing pretty well. And we're up to 3,500 steps. Remember, we're going to go to 5,000 to see how it turns out. And this one, we'll just let this one run. I'll just kind of be stopping it towards the end so I can get to an even 5,000. But Corner Cow has got a sizable lead now over the mold critter. And it's interesting that I think it's the mold critter that's doing some moving here every once in a while. We're getting close, 4,800. I'm going to go to our 5,000 just so that we get to the nice even spot. And Corner Cow won that time. So I'm gonna be writing these down so that I can. I'm not going to confuse myself. So a win for Corner Cow. Let's watch this one. We'll let another one run. As I said, we may get to a point where maybe we've seen enough of these things running. But for the semifinals, we can watch a few more. So this one is kind of interesting. We have German Husky kind of still alive. Let's see what the debug is showing us. Nothing terribly exciting. That mold is doing well again. German Husky not really changing a lot in terms of the counts. It's interesting how I think this is the mold critter that has some things here where it kind of sits dormant for a while, and probably here, we'll do a debug here that it's probably hiding itself in some of these cases. So, German Husky is doing a little better, and Corner Cow is gone. Corner Cow got wiped out here. I think this is going to end up being a win for the mold. So let me write it down. I mean, to be ready. I'm not writing down the win yet because we wanted to wait until we get to the 5,000 steps. But German Husky. The other thing too, this is why it's sad not to have the audience, is that there might have been some really interesting things going on here that I just missed. And so you guys are probably getting it. The mold, they seem to be disappearing and then announcing their names at various points in time, so they're having some fun with how they're displaying themselves. We still got some German Husky here, but it doesn't seem to be increasing in numbers that much. It looks like this is going to be a win for mold. Let me go ahead and let it go to the end, and we can log that as a win for mold. So I'm going to run it again, and maybe we'll watch one more of these. So let's start and let it go, but then let me record the fact that mold had a win. So there's some green Huskies that are left in the world, but otherwise we also have the German Husky, the Corner Cow, and the mold. And I guess I think those are our cows there up in the corner. And things are a little quiet for a while, but it seems like, and then the mold, you can kind of tell, it looks like it's having some of them disappear, or they're changing the way that they're displaying themselves. I must admit, the mold critter, green Huskies have disappeared from the earth. There's still Corner Cows and German Huskies. I was looking at something in the mold critter, and if I had a prize for most entertaining comments, I think the mold critter would end up winning for most entertaining comments. Clearly, the author of that had a lot of fun in creating that critter, and the way that the author described how the critter behaves was entertaining. So mold is still ahead. Corner Cow and German Husky still in the running. Now, remember that I said that I want to have a critter win by 2. So even if mold wins this round, that's not going to be the overall win, because that would be 1 ahead of Corner Cow. Corner Cow has won once, mold has won once, and so we kind of, let me skip ahead to the 5,000. So mold has won again. Now here, you see, I know that I made some mistake here of not recording a win for one of these critters. Something that I missed, because there have been 3 runs here. Oh no, that's right, this is right, 3 runs, right. 1 win for Corner and 2 for mold. Let's try running it again and go to the end. And another win for mold. So I think that's the convincing. Mold is won by 2. So I think we can decide that mold was the number one winner from that round, recompile, and run. And let's start again and let it speed up a bit. Corner cow's doing well. Green husky and German husky still in the running. Lion, there's still a lion left in the world. So maybe I could win a prize if somehow that one lion can end up doing something to do better. Doesn't seem a lot to be happening in the world. We seem to be down to critters that aren't moving around a lot. The mold critter was giving us, I think, the movement that we had in the prior one. So it looks to me like maybe that lion is going to live for a very long time, just kind of bouncing off those walls. And it may be that corner cow will win, but there's basically German husky and green huskies are not moving, and corner cow's not moving. So I think this is going to turn out to be a win for corner cow. But this is the first time we've done this combination of the three, so I'll let it run a little while longer so we can watch. Sometimes, as I said, people will put something into their critter where they suddenly change their behavior starting at step 4,000 or something like that. So there have been some exciting critter tournaments where we think the world is very stable and then suddenly something happens. I don't think that's going to happen in this case. I think that these critters are fairly stable, but we'll let it run anyway. We're up to 3,900 now, so we can let it go, get closer to 5,000 before we call this one for corner cow. Oh, and I can be preparing, I guess, by writing down the names so that I'm ready to record the win. And again, not many changes. I almost think lions should win some special prize just for surviving this long. But we'll go up to the 5,000 steps. So that's a win for corner cow. One win for corner cow. And we can close that. And we'll run it again. And let's start it and let it speed up. And corner cow is taking over again a little bit. I got two lions. Oh, lions disappeared. Oh, well. We've got some giants, though, wandering around. Oh, so maybe I can be the giants are gone from the world, too. So I think now we have three stationary critters. So I'm going to be doing some stepping by 100 just to kind of see. But I think we're going to find that that's a stable world, that these critters are not moving. So we'll go all the way up to 5,000 steps. And nothing ended up changing there. But that's a second win for corner cow with no other critter having a win. So that's corner cow being 2 ahead of the other critters. So that's enough for corner cow to be our number 2 winner in that round. Okay, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Oops, yes. And let's do this. So let me come here and uncomment these lines of code. And then this is our second group of semifinalists. So let me compile and run this second group of semifinalists. And we'll let it start running. And we can speed it up a bit. I like watching those bat huskies wandering around. Bat huskies doing quite well. We've got some husky congregate. Oh, there was a Uri husky, but now it's gone. Husky congregate now is doing quite well. The bat huskies seem to be disappearing from the world. So, yeah, husky congregate seems to be winning. A few bat huskies left, but down to 0. So that was a convincing win for husky congregate. So we can close that one, run again, and we'll start and let it go. Lots of bat huskies initially. Well, probably that's partly having to do with the fact that there's 60 food, there's these other critters like the giants and the lions and so forth. It could be that bat husky cleans up early on with some of those other critters. So that's a time early in this when movement is rewarded. But now we've reached a point where I think husky congregate is kind of taking advantage of the fact that we can, let's do a debug and we can kind of watch what it's doing. That's very interesting that husky congregate has kind of its inner ones doing a rotation but its outer ones are kind of facing outwards, which is an interesting strategy. Trying to have a better fly trap, I gather. And we're down to just a few bat huskies in the world. I think it's unlikely that they're going to be able to come back, but since they are moving, we'll let it go for a little bit longer. We've got 7 bat huskies left in the world, and I guess when they're running into each other, so that's when they're sometimes wandering over to the husky congregation, the colony of husky congregates. We're down to 4 bat huskies. I think we can see where this is going to end up going, that this is probably going to be the congregate that ends up that's going to be a winner here, we think. We're down to 2 bat huskies, and we're up to 4,200, 4,300. Not a lot of chance of them coming back in these last few rounds, but we'll let it get a little closer to 5,000. All right, I think that's close enough that I'll let it go to the 5,000. So that's a win for husky congregate. And I think that was, I think that was a second win for husky congregate, but I think that I didn't write it down well on my piece of paper. So let's do a few just to be kind of sure that husky congregate won again. We run again, and husky congregate wins again. Yeah, those are convincing wins for husky congregate. So I think I might have made a mistake in what I wrote on my piece of paper, but it's pretty clear that husky congregate is the winner there. So let me go ahead and recompile and run with this group of critters, and we'll let it start, and we'll go. Bat husky doing well in the beginning when there's lots of movement, and bat husky cleaned up. Bat husky ended up getting rid of the competition. So let me write it down correctly this time. A win for bat husky. So let me do that before I move on. I think that was the mistake I made last time, was not being careful enough to write it down. Bat husky's doing well, but there's some Soupies and some Uri huskies. Soupy is kind of given some competition here, so bat husky versus Soupy, so that might be kind of how this is going to turn out. They're the only 2 that are left here, bat husky versus Soupy. And now I think this is a similar kind of thing to what we had seen before. So this isn't exactly what congregate did, but it's somewhat similar. It's a kind of a fly trap type strategy, and it's the poor bat huskies are not surviving it. So now we're down to 0. So that was a convincing win for Soupy, and let me write that down so that I don't miss that one. So we'll watch one more at this level. Bat husky again doing well at the beginning. Uri huskies are almost gone. Soupy kind of coming back with those little colonies. So that seems to be kind of what ends up happening, that our bat huskies do well initially, but don't do so well. Soupy, the more fly trap-like strategy, does better over time. We're down to 1 bat husky, and it's gone. So that was a second win for Soupy. So 2 for Soupy and 1 for bat husky. But we want the critter to win by 2. So Soupy's ahead by 1. Let's go ahead and skip to the end, because I think we know how this one, the general behavior here. That's an extra win for bat husky, okay? So they're tied at 2 apiece. We may end up with a situation here I talked about where we have trouble getting a winner here. So that one's Soupy, so 3 for Soupy now, 2 for bat husky. So let's go ahead and close that. Let's run it again. So Soupy is ahead by 1, and bat husky won again. So it's 3 and 3. So they're tied. Boy, these 2 critters are pretty evenly matched in this group, I think. So now bat husky is ahead by 1. And let's see what happens when we run again. and go to the end. That was another win for Bat Husky. So if I counted right on that one, that was 5 for Bat Husky and 3 for Soupy. But boy, Soupy was really close, so that one was a pretty even split there. But I think that I'm going to call that as a win for Bat Husky. So that's our number 2 winner. Here. Number 2 winner in this round. And let me then come here, and I'm going to throw in a line here that lets me keep track of the information about who was doing better before. But I think now we have our 4 finalists. So we're down to kind of just these 4 critters, the number 1 and number 2 winners. And so, that's not what I wanted to be doing. So let me come here and let's get rid of the comments here. And we'll let our 4 finalists duke it out. And we'll do a run. I want the same rule that whoever's going to have a win here, I want to win by 2. So let me turn my page a little bit so that I'll have the ability to write this down. It's looking like Congregate will probably win this one. Congregate, but we don't know for sure. But right now it's doing better. Corner Cow is still in there. But now, so this is, I think we have 2 different flytrap-like strategies here. We're down to just Corner Cow and Husky Congregate. I mean, Husky Congregate wins by numbers, but I think if we do the next 100, these things aren't changing. Yeah, we have 2 stationary critters, and if we get up to 5,000 steps, so that is a win for Husky Congregate. So I'm going to count that as 1 win. Okay, let's run again, and let's start the simulation and speed it up. So Mold is doing well this time. Bat Husky has disappeared. Husky Congregate is still in there. And Corner Cow is still in there. Now, I believe it's our Mold that is giving us some movement. And I think Congregate so far is kind of taking advantage of that. But wow, isn't that, look at this. This is, you can kind of see the lead going back and forth between Mold and Congregate. So there's some interesting things going on in terms of the strategy that Mold must be employing. Congregate's one of those stationary strategies that's more like the flytrap, as far as I can tell, but now Congregate seems to be ahead. So yeah, this one is a little hard to call. It kind of depends upon how those moving Mold objects are doing relative to the Congregate. Right now, Congregate's winning that. So that's not working out so well for the Mold, and Corner Cow is just kind of staying stationary. It may be that Corner Cow is every once in a while picking up a Mold that wanders its way. So Mold is kind of fighting a battle on 2 fronts because it's got 2 stationary flytrap-like strategies that it's trying to compete against. And it could be that's why its movement strategy is not working quite so well. We're getting up there. We're approaching the 5,000 steps. When we get close, I'm going to go ahead and let it go. So that's probably close enough. Congregate won that. That's 2 in a row for Congregate with no other wins. So since that's 2 in a row, that is our number 1 winner. So Husky Congregate is our number 1 winner for the tournament. Let's recompile and run and see what happens with the 3 remaining critters. So Bat Husky's in there for a while. Actually, Bat Husky's doing somewhat well, but now Corner Cow is taking advantage of that. So Corner Cow was another one of these flytrap-like strategies, I think. The Bat Huskies are disappearing, and we're down to Mold and Corner Cow. So now it's kind of a matter of how the Mold that does various moves, whether what it does in terms of moving ends up being effective against Corner Cow, or whether Corner Cow ends up winning those battles. So I'm going to be writing down cow and mold as potential winners so that I'll be ready to figure out who's winning. So cow is doing better, and it looks like over time that's kind of working out better for cow. I can tell you, mold, when I did all of the pre-contest, mold was the top winner 3 of the time. So, against a broad range of critters in the class, mold ended up doing best. But this corner cow strategy is quite good, and so it's kind of winning here. Let me kind of move this along a bit because we're running a little short on time. Corner cow ended up winning that. So I'm going to count that as a win for corner cow. Let me start this running and we'll watch for a bit. So I've got a win for corner cow. With Bat Husky still in the, corner cow was eliminated from the competition, and now we're just down to Bat Huskies versus mold, and the Bat Huskies are gone. So that is a win for the mold critter. Let's run it again, and we don't have enough time to kind of watch it carefully. So that's a win. So that was a win for mold. Now a win for cow, 2-1. So let's try doing this again, and we'll go to 5,000. And that's a win for mold. So they've each got 2 wins. We want to try to have one of them win by 2. We'll see if we can get that. We'll get to the 5,000. Mold is ahead by 1 now, so we'll try to go one more time. And we'll do our 5,000. And mold won again. So mold won 4-2 relative to cow. But boy, cow was a strong fighter too. So that means that mold is our number 2 winner. Corner cow is we actually, and I'm sorry, I'm running out of time. I'm just going to kind of let this one run to the end. And corner cow won that one. And if we run again and go to the end, corner cow won.